My name is Adam Gaynor, and I am the Chief Revenue Officer of Gamut. I'm excited to be here for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm a big car guy, and I get to share that passion with my 19-year-old son. But more importantly, I also see a lot of similarities, and I don't know why this keeps changing, but I see a lot of similarities in the automotive industry and the television industry. If you think about it, both have been operating the same way for a very long time, and now both have accelerated their future in just the last few years. And to me, that's a pretty interesting synergy. So now I'll let the slide move. It's pretty interesting to me that we've got 223 million US adults using OTT monthly. That's amazing. 88% of those with internet access have OTT. Ad-supported OTT reaches more than 9 out of 10 streamers. And 66% of weekly streaming time occurs on CTV, which is connected TV, across all streamers. And why is that important? Because CTV is television. That's really important. It's not something different. It's television delivered just a different way. For the first time, streaming television is actually outpacing consumption versus cable TV and broadcast TV. And in the last year, we've seen 22% growth of time spent. That's 190 plus billion minutes of streaming. For the automotive industry, that means that you have an opportunity to reach your consumers in places that you may not be able to reach them by just relying on linear television. It's also interesting to me that, like the EV story, people think that streaming TV is only for the younger audiences, and that's not the case. We see streaming TV growing across all different age groups, with the 55 plus age group being the strongest growth engine. And I'm excited to share that we have seen through our Cox Automotive study that car sales are going up. That's great. That's awesome. And in a year, you've seen 8% growth in automotive sales. And I know that's going to continue as we've solved a lot of the problems of supply chain and chip shortages and all that. But at the same time, in that same year, 46% growth has been seen in the shift to streaming TV ad spending. And that's an important piece too, because again, what streaming adds to the entire ecosystem are viewers that you don't necessarily get in other places. When we think about national versus local, and Gamut plays in the local space, but I want to kind of explain the story. In a streaming world, when you go after a target, that target is not spread evenly across the country because it gravitates to where the high viewership populations are. In linear TV, you take one spot, you put it out there, everybody gets it. But in streaming TV, that doesn't happen nationally. So that's where Gamut comes in, with the opportunity to hyper-target and hyper-personalize in the local communities. So whether it's a national brand trying to heavy up in maybe those 10 states that Chevy sees where their sales are, or even the tier 2 regional autos trying to find the right message to deliver to their audiences in different parts of the country, or even down to the dealership groups, we have that opportunity to really help advertisers find, target, and engage with their relevant consumers. For Gamut, we're pretty unique in what we do, though there's a lot of folks that are out there that have OTT. For us, it's about accessing 100 plus premium networks. These are the networks that everybody knows, Fox and NBC and Discovery and so on and so forth. We have direct ad server access, which I'll explain in a second why is an advantage. We cover all 210 DMAs, so wherever we want to sell EVs or regular vehicles, we can get that message to the right folks. Everything we do is what's called FEP. It stands for full episode player. These are the 30-minute shows and the 60-minute shows that you watch on television. These are not the 30-second cats playing piano clips. Everything we do is non-skippable, and we at Gamut provide incredible white glove managed service to help our advertisers do what they need to do with unbelievable delivery. For us, going back to the direct ad server access is important because you can see here, we have relationships with all of our inventory partners. We go into their ad server, we get the inventory, we sell it to the advertiser. That's what we do. In the programmatic space, you've got a few different server hops that have to happen. And when that happens, you start to lose a little bit of control. For us, the benefits of being directly in that ad server allow a fraud prevention solution. Fraud is a lot of what's discussed in the OTT. But when you have that access directly into that inventory, you can prevent fraud. We have 100% of that premium content. That's key. And we can do hyper-targeting at scale, whether it's at a zip code or a DMA or a region or a state, or you tell us, we'll do it. And then lastly, it's the control. And control is something that people tend to forget from time to time, is that you have to have control when you're spending your advertising dollars to ensure that they're going where they need to go. That control is what allows us at Gamut to guarantee frequency capping, recency capping, and competitive ad separation. Raise your hand if you've watched some streaming program and have seen the same ad repeat over and over and over again. I feel like I'm related to Flo, right? I see her more than I see my wife. Holy moly. That doesn't happen with us. We are a one-stop solution to be able to deliver your ads so that you as an advertiser don't get the phone call that people are pissed off that they've seen your ad over and over again. And our network partners don't get the phone call that their network is showing the ads over and over again. That's really important. The other thing that we can do is layer on a whole bunch of different data targets. I loved what Polk had to share with us because we see a lot of that same data by being in a partnership with Polk. We can add behavioral segments, demographic segments, geographic segments, contextual segments. That means if you want to target people that already have an EV, we can do that. If you want to target households that have a Toyota because you want to run a Tesla ad, we could do that too, right? That's the exciting thing, is that we have all of the access to that data to really help hone in on who the target audience is. I'm excited to be here. I appreciate that. And I also like to just point out that selling a pickup truck in the United States is easy sometimes, right? You could put up an ad and you can talk about a pickup truck that has a great engine, tows a boat, carries a family, has nice leather seats. But to sell that pickup truck in Brooklyn, New York takes a very different conversation than selling that exact same pickup truck in Abilene, Texas. And Gamut has that opportunity to not only deliver the messages in the different parts of this country, but to personalize them so that the audiences that see your messages understand exactly what you're trying to do with them. We recently worked with an automotive client in the early part of this year. They only ran in 2 DMAs. That was their test. They had a target of adults 25-54, with a household income of 100K plus, and they wanted in-market auto buyers. Because of Gamut, we were able to show them that 75% of their impressions, of the 75% of their households that were reached in OTT did not see a linear TV ad. That sort of proves to you why we have a seat at the table with OTT. Right? We were able to deliver incremental reach, and that's what's important. We're not here to say that linear TV is dying. It's not. Just like ICE vehicles aren't dying, they're not. But there's a new way, and audiences that are only watching streaming. There are audiences that are only driving electric vehicles. I can see one person right here that I know that has 2 of them. I appreciate the time. We recently published a white paper about the resurgence of local advertising. I would encourage you to scan that QR code. and you'll be able to download that white paper. And I'm around if you have any questions. Thank you very much.